We've all had those moments, right? Where everything just feels totally confusing. You're trying to figure things out, you're desperately looking for answers, but you just feel completely lost. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to discover something truly powerful about those exact moments. We're looking at what actually happens when we dig our heels in and keep seeking the Lord, even when absolutely nothing makes sense. Drawing directly from the fascinating biblical research of Mr. T.A. Thomas Avira G, we're going to unpack this whole idea by looking really closely at the incredible encounter between Jesus and Mary Magdalene in John chapter 20.
So I want to toss a question directly over to you. What happens when we keep seeking Jesus even when we don't understand what on earth is happening in our lives? It's a mystery we've all faced at one point or another, isn't it? To really unpack this, we're going to dive headfirst into the mystery of the empty tomb and see exactly how this ancient narrative holds the key to answering that very question.
And building on that, what happens when we just flat out refuse to give up? Because guys, this is where it gets incredibly exciting. You see, the story of Mary Magdalene isn't just some historical event about Jesus appearing to her. As you're going to see, it actually provides a brilliant, highly practical blueprint that we can apply to our own lives right now. It's a framework for seeking, for receiving revelation, and ultimately for being entrusted with the very next critical step in our journey.
Okay, let's dive right into section 1. Mary kept on seeking.
Now, John chapter 20 sets a super dramatic scene. Mary Magdalene comes to the tomb and it's empty. She doesn't have all the answers. In fact, she is thoroughly confused and really doesn't understand everything that's unfolding. But here's the kicker. She remains entirely willing to seek. She doesn't just throw her hands up and walk away when things don't make sense. I mean, just look at the timeline of events here. Hour 1. The disciples had already seen what happened, realized the body was gone, and they literally just packed up and went home. But Mary? Her path is completely different. Hour 2, she remains at the tomb. Hour 3, she's weeping. She's actively searching and seeking the one she loved, just lingering right there through the profound, paralyzing pain of not understanding. And because of that unique, stubborn perseverance, Hour 4, something extraordinary happens. Jesus appears to her. But you know, at first, she actually didn't recognize him through her grief. It was only when he spoke a single massive word, Mary. It was only at this exact pinpoint moment of being called by her own name that the confusion shattered, and she truly recognized the one she'd been seeking all along.
Which brings us to section 2, message and a commission.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it contrasts what we often expect with what God actually does. You see, Jesus revealing himself to Mary was not the end of the story. It was just the beginning of a crucial instruction. He didn't just show up to say a quick hello. He showed up to give her a job to do. We usually expect God to just comfort us, right? To give us this nice personal experience so we feel encouraged and could just go back to our day. But Jesus didn't simply reveal himself to Mary for a warm, fuzzy feeling. He frequently reveals himself because he's preparing us for action. He gave her a message, a revelation, and a divine commission, the literal next step. Just listen to the specific words he used. Jesus said, "Go to my brothers. I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Think about the sheer significance of this phrasing for a second. By calling the disciples my brothers, Jesus is highlighting a completely new, intimate, and established relationship made possible through his resurrection. He entrusted Mary with this highly specific, radical message. He literally turned her desperate seeking into a profound, historical mission.
Let's move on to section 3, the pattern of encounter.
We're shifting gears a bit here, from the historical narrative to a highly practical theological framework that applies directly to us today. Let's see how this builds a beautiful pattern we can follow. It breaks down into 4 distinct steps. Step 1, Mary sought. Step 2, Jesus revealed. Step 3, Jesus commissioned. And step 4, Mary went. It's amazing. Her seeking led directly to an encounter. The encounter led to revelation. The revelation led to absolute obedience. And that obedience led her to actually carry the message to others. It's a direct, sequential chain reaction, and the whole shebang begins with a simple willingness to just stay.
Which brings up a rather challenging question for all of us. When we pray and ask, "Lord, show me," are we also willing to say, "Lord, when you show me, am I willing to follow?" I really want you to stop and reflect on that for a second. Are you truly ready for that next step when you ask God for a revelation? Because as we've clearly seen, revelation almost always demands a response.
And that perfectly sets up our final application in section 4, the reward of seeking.
Because as we're learning from this research, the true reward of seeking God goes far, far beyond just getting our immediate questions answered. Jesus made a very simple yet powerful promise: seek and you will find. Mary's experience at the empty tomb is the absolute ultimate picture of this perseverance in action. I mean, she came, she remained, she searched, she webbed, and she just kept on seeking until she found exactly what was promised.
So the crucial point is, what actually makes up that kind of heart? Mary's story shows us the defining attributes of a seeking heart, and you can kind of use this as a personal checklist. You don't have to understand everything, but you must be willing. You got to be willing to listen, willing to wait, willing to love, willing to follow, and ultimately willing to obey. Maintaining this posture is absolutely essential, even, and honestly, especially, when you have no earthly clue what God is doing in your life right now.
Because, the reward of seeking God isn't always just getting a simple yes or no answer to your question. Sometimes, the far greater reward is actually encountering the risen Jesus himself, receiving a clear purpose, and being trusted with his commission. Mary's seeking became her mission, and the incredible revelation she received became something she faithfully, bravely carried to others.
So I want to leave you with this final lingering thought. Don't stop seeking just because you don't fully understand yet. A seeking heart might begin with a totally confused question, but it can end with a revelation, a purpose, and a clear next step from the Lord. So the ultimate question for you is this: keep a willing heart, because when the Lord finally says go, will you be ready?